Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, and this is the Business 101 call. I'm Dave Rolfe, and tonight we're going to have a very special guest and a great class tonight because it's all about building silvers, which is the main aspect of our business. And with us tonight is Robert Acosta, and he's from Toronto, Canada. And a couple of months ago, a month ago, maybe a couple of months ago now, because we're in June, he created two new silvers in his organization. And after hearing that, I said, we've got to talk and we got to find out, well, what the heck did Robert do? And so we can all learn and gather some steam and build our organizations. So, so I did talk to you earlier, Robert, and you did tell me that this is an upline,
Hold
downline,
on.
where the top person and had went silver, and I guess the bottom person went silver. Who went silver first, the bottom or the top?
The top.
The top. Okay.
So then, and
Uh,
then the second level, the next generation.
okay. So there was a skip. There was one and a blank, and then another one. Is that how it worked?
No, it was direct. It was a
Correct.
direct.
Okay. So now this is, we've talked about this in our classes many times. The whole idea of structure is when things happen below you in your organization, you get excited. And also sometimes when you're building from the top down and people below you see what you're doing, they take advantage of it. So in that process, when did this start with the first guy or the first person in this organization, Robert?
Well, we started with him in the end of January. So
Okay.
let's say his first month was February when he started.
Okay, so his first month is February and he went in April, May. He went
In
silver
May.
in May,
Yeah, both in May.
February, March, April, May. So 4 month run. Okay, that's excellent. And so what was going on? What did you attribute this to? What did you do? How did it come together? Was there
Right.
a strategy, a plan at the beginning? Can you give us some data on that?
Well, first of all, I have to give credit to the ace I have on my hand, which is Mike DiMuccio. So we are working shoulder to shoulder to do this. And since, well, I've met Mike DiMuccio several years ago, but I can say that what shifted this time is that I'm following one principle I learned from my mentor, Mike DiMuccio. So we had to. I knew that we had to stop marketing Nikken as a transaction and start marketing as a transformation. And even though maybe you have heard these words, and I had heard these words before, it's just now that it just bring into fruition. So instead of looking for customers to buy products, we began selling the vision, a vision. So we aren't trying to sell, we are trying to looking for partners for a huge, ambitious global project toward 2030. That's what shifted from years ago. I'm talking about now. And that's why I focus on that rather than focus on the products only or first. I focus on the vision. So what I convey, the message that I convey to my team, and they bought it immediately, is the vision. We're selling the vision, and particularly this vision that we just started this year of the 2030 vision. So that was this first thing that we started to do differently, or I started to do differently, and that's the way we were looking for partners to help us in this huge, huge endeavor. And then the
Okay, so
products,
to
yeah,
clarify this for my sake and everybody else's and those that are listening, the, for a number of years, the company was focused on the retail activity of the business, find customers, build your customer base, get them on auto ship, and so on and so forth. And now there's been a shift, and the shift has been to more of a talking about the philosophy or the opportunity as the transformation. Which one of those?
Yeah, I would say the transformation.
The transformation, okay, of the individual, of the group, of the how would you define transformation?
Well, of course, it starts with the person. So you have to want something to transform in yourself.
Okay.
So, in a way, I'm not going to say that it's an easy task, but when you find someone that really want to change something in their lives, and that's the first conversation, the why. When you find a strong why in people, the rest is easier. Let me put it that way. If you're wrong in the way you identify the why, there is no use for the other things. If you can have a marvelous business, a marvelous idea, a marvelous vision, but if that person doesn't have a why, some desire internal to do something different with their lives, and even better, to impact others, because this is about not you, but it's about others, then it's going to be very hard, and you're going to be dragging people into a vision that they haven't bought. So that's
No, I totally understand now what you mean by that. And it makes it from my perspective, Mike and I are on the same page. We just use some different words from time to time.
Mhm.
But the bottom line is we're headed in the right direction because in the beginning for me, I where I was at, I didn't like, I couldn't deal with because it was a horrible place to be. So I needed to transform into another area of survival and growth and expansion. And when I saw Nikan, I saw that opportunity to do that. And that then was the catalyst to fulfill my change of what I wanted to do. So it sounds to me like with what you're dealing with, the people that you're seeing, they found something in Nikan that would help them move where they were stuck or couldn't deal with into a new way or a new or a better way for themselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then the formula is if you find that desire, then the second thing, or the only ask, that's a prerequisite. You have to have that desire or that why. Then our ask is you have to believe. You have to create a new belief system, maybe. If you're going to transform your life, is that there is something in your belief system that is not taking you the place you want to be. That's why you want to change something. So guess what? What you need to change is your beliefs. And one of the beliefs that you need to change is you have to believe in us, in the team, in the company, in the products. And sometimes it's not just intangible beliefs. Sometimes, of course, with the products, you need to understand the energy and how they work. But in some other cases, like if I believe in myself that I can build and I can be part of this impact, of this movement, of this massive change, that's the hardest part. And that's why the personal growth or the personal development component in our group is very, very important. And we've been working in a way, not the 100%, but we're working on that. If you want to grow a business that it's with people, you have to grow the people. So we are really focusing on growing the people in order to grow the business.
Okay, now great information. So once the individual, so your what was the name of your first leader that went silver?
Uh, Mateo.
Mateo. So once Mateo got a hold of this, saw the potential and bought into the idea, believed in the company, believed in you guys, believed in Michael, all of the idea here. Now the next step is, well, what strategy did you put in play with Mateo to get his business going?
Well, I would say one thing, one skill that you have to develop in this business, and we always say you don't need anything else but this. You have to know how to contact and invite. So the only focus, the only training is how you're going to connect with people. And that's the only training that we work with. So the only new thing that Mateo needed to, and everyone in the group needed to understand and really practice consistently is how to invite. And it was a process of inviting people to a business. No, Inviting people to change their lives? No. Invite people to the vision of we have a big project and the approach is I need help. That's for me, that's the key. And that's a very different way. You can, if you have friends and you have a list of 100 friends or 100 people that you know, and you try to find if they're interested in something that you've got, that's one path. But it's much more difficult if you have 100 friends and you ask them for their help. The possibility of them telling you no, it's really rare. Maybe you have to recognize that maybe they are not your friends. So in the end, so that's why our approach is we have this big project. I cannot do it alone. I need help. So please take a look at this and let's figure it out how you can help directly or indirectly. And then we start the conversation or we follow the conversation and the process of conversation.
So you taught Matteo to invite and contact and invite. Did he make the presentations or did he immediately get into an ABC kind of a conversation?
I know. Even nowadays, we are embedded in ABCs. He's not doing any presentation.
Okay.
Between Mike
So
and
who's
me,
doing the presentations, you or Mike?
or Mike, depending. If they can understand English, it's Mike. And Mike has the time, it's Mike. But if they're more a little bit more inclined to understand Spanish, it's me. That's the duo that Mike and me are doing because we're working mostly not exclusively, but mostly with Latin Americans in Canada.
Got it. Okay. So now an interesting viewpoint is again, if we're looking at the now in this call, Business 101, we're looking at the business aspects of building this business, the style and technique which individuals utilize for their own sake and what they're used to or what they learn or what they feel comfortable with is an adaptation of the mechanical aspect of doing it. So what I'm hearing here, which is really fascinating, and very, very important, is somebody has the story. Somebody has the big vision. Somebody has the data and the information that's being utilized. I remember when I was in the car business, and I joined this company in Vancouver, Canada, and it was called Dave, was it Dave Buck Ford? I think it was Dave Buck Ford out in North Vancouver. And I was told to invite and contact. And when somebody came on the lot, my job was just to steer them to the car that they were most interested in. Once they were most interested, then it was to do the ABC. Bring in the manager, the big gun that had the story, that had the ammunition and had the experience and could understand the people. Now, what we've been doing in our business calls, Robert, is breaking down these mechanics so that the individual can see the mechanic and then adapt themselves to that. And what I see very importantly here is this is going to be a learning curve for Matteo and his team, and they're going to grow in their knowledge and soon be able to take over the responsibility of doing the ABC for the people in their team. Does that seem to be what's happening soon?
Yeah, definitely. They have seen or they have heard so many times, Mike and me, that for sure they are dreaming on the presentation even at loud. So of course they can start doing that. But you know, when Mike talks and he's embedding the example, the proof that this is something that is real, and that's what we tell the people. We're not proving this. We're not looking if this is going to work or not. This has worked for decades. The only thing is who is going to be the next generation. In a way, Mike, it's in this phase of 5 more years, passing the baton to the next generations. And that's what we are focused. I should mention that most of the team are millennials, and I have one set and a Gen X and millennials. I think we have one boomer. No, we don't have boomers. So we are focusing on that generation because we are passing, in a way, with Mike saying that, passing the baton, making this new wave in order to have the other generations to start living the next 50 years of this movement of this company. So that's the focus. And Mike, being a boomer, is just the representation of I did this 35 years ago. So I know exactly how to do it. They're just gonna do it again another way with a different generation. And that's the only difference. But everything else is the same. So that's why Mike is it's instrumental to being the proof of this is working. And that's the credibility that we are building.
Okay, so I'm a numbers guy right now. Matteo, what's the size of his whole organization, like number of distributors?
His organization must have by now around 15 people
Okay,
in,
15
in different
distributors.
in the distributors, yeah, in different levels.
Okay, so here's the message, guys, because again, this is not a business of you by yourself. This is a team sport. And based on the compensation plan, the potential is to get paid six generations below you. And in order to get paid six generations, you have to have people on these generations that are working and building the business. And so if it goes back to day one, Matteo was by himself, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Now he's got 15 people. He's down the road. I mean, he's talking 15 distributors. There's customers and so on and so forth. They've got momentum. I'm assuming his plan now is to go gold in relatively short order. Would that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And we have
Okay.
an extra help because in 10 days we're having Luis Kasuga in Toronto in
Yeah,
a
there you go.
in a meeting. So that's why if everything this is we are still in pre-launch.
Yes.
Our real launch, our real start is going to be. That's why I invited Luis to do the honors that we're launching our team. Not only Mateo, not only Sabrina, the other Silver, but the whole team is going to
Yes.
be in the same kind of mental level to launch their business, to see their business from them onwards, not whatever it's upwards.
I cannot tell you how important what Robert just said is in relationship to creating the reality of the group effort. And if we go back to the beginning in North America, this is exactly what happened. We would go into an area with nobody and we'd bring in support and then we'd find a couple of people that wanted to work and got caught on with the idea. And together, that energy or synergy, however you want to define it, would then help build that area and create some stability. And you have to understand that we walked around to places that Nikon had never, nobody knew what Nikon was, who it was, what they did, the product, nothing. It was just like, and again, today's the same in the sense of what people really don't understand what Nikon is, only a small number of people. But what I really like about what Robert's doing, and you might want to copy some of this, is the idea of the big picture. And we had a guy by the name of was it Paul Pilsner? And he had created this idea of the wellness industry when we started back in 1990 was going to be a multi-trillion dollar industry. And here we down the road 36 years later, and it is a multi-trillion dollar industry. And we walked right into it. Everybody is into wellness, and so it's a well-known, acceptable concept, but yet not everybody's applying it because we still have some problems and challenges. Okay, so Matteo got going. Now somebody in his organization caught on fire. When did that take place?
I think 1 month later, maybe she joined maybe in the second or third week that Mateo started, but she really got on fire the following month. And her name is Sabrina.
Sabrina.
And one particular thing about those two guys is they are helping right now in what they do a lot of people. So they already have that chip that to be successful, to have a meaningful life, you have to dedicate it to others. You have to make an impact. So I contacted them because of that. That was my why, and their why together is what we want to help a lot of people. So in a way, I would say it was an easy sell because they already there in that why, which I share a lot. So they already have that credentials, I would say, that they know that if they want to have a meaningful life, they have to be of service and serving other people. So
Now, do Mateo and Sabrina work pretty much full time? Are they part time? What's their regiment look like?
in terms of this, no, completely part-time because they have
Oh,
business. One has a business, own business, and the other has her own business and a job. So they're doing three things: a job, a own business, and Niken as a third thing.
okay, so what did again now from the standpoint of organization, structure, being able to make sure you get everything done, is somebody teaching or providing some guidance in these areas, or are they picking it up on their own, or how's that going down?
No, of course, we have a process of onboarding. So we have a document of four pages talking exactly what do you have to do in the first 24 hours, in the first 48 hours, I would say, in the first week and in your first month. That is the way it's broken down the onboarding. And they knew it, and now they what they do by themselves. Now I can give I had to give credit to them is they are onboarding their own people. They don't need me or Mike to onboard. So every new people, they have a special session onboarding those people by themselves. I don't intervene at all. Of course, the onboarding is the one that Mike and I wrote, but they are doing it by themselves. Every single person. That's why they do at least one onboarding every other day.
Okay, so that now one of the favorite things I like to talk about that the main one of the main attributes of being successful is the ability to communicate. You laid it out there and to basically contact and invite, which takes good communication. Um, where are they going after warm market, mid market? Are they utilizing what? How are they attracting attention? That would be the main question, Robert.
Well, they did their 100 names in the 1 million list. So they are just contacting people that they know, and they know a lot of people. So they haven't finished with their list of people that they know because they have their own businesses. So they are influencing a lot of people. So they are selecting, I would say, pre-selecting specific people that has some skills and some whys that they know because they know those people to present this or to invite them to this process. So they haven't, I think, met any new one. They're still working in their warm market or their warm list, 100%.
Okay, so again, we've talked about back to the group here. We've talked about this in the sense of, creating that list that with the most ideal way is we're a warm market business because of word of mouth, the ability to communicate easier, the relationship between people is people will listen more versus the cold market. But here's what I'm hearing. You've got people in a different generation that are utilizing the people that they know to build the business. And you, as experienced networkers and experienced Nikon distributors, you got to take that information and convert that into a way to attract attention because that's really what you want to find for your business. I mean, what Robert found is he found Mateo and Mateo found Sabrina, and now he's got a leg. And my advice to him would be to build these guys to gold, platinum, and diamond because there's the story. And we've talked about this so many times that if I go back in our history, that what built Nikon was the story of success no matter where it came from. It was the story of success with the product, or it was the story of success with building a business, or there was the story of success of opening up a country. Whatever it was always based on the story of success, and that was the attractive part. And again, where distributors struggle in the initial part, if they're not beating their bush, if they're not being led properly, if they're not being directed, uh, to to invite contact and start building an army who then does the same thing because it's that duplicative effort that makes it grow and it goes down generation to generation. Don't forget in this compensation plan, you can earn on the sixth and seventh level below you of qualified people. I mean, you can it's there is no amount on unqualified people. So you really have to strategize and think about this group of people that you want to invite into your business. Now, speaking of that, Robert, do they do that? If they're strictly warm market, is it family members, friends? Are they staying in their own generation? What's the demographics look like?
Yeah, mostly our friends and people they work with, because as I mentioned, they have like their own business of consulting in business or consulting. I think both are in kind of a business. So they have customers or clients or former clients in their consulting that they are asking or they are inviting to this. But I should mention that as of course we share with them a guide for how to contact and invite. But in this same guide, we have a second guide that is prospecting and invite. Prospecting is when you don't know the people or when you meet new people. And to be honest, that's kind of the thing that I'm using the most. Half of my organization, I would say, even maybe the whole organization, is people that I just met in the last 2 years. So even Matteo, I met him 2 years ago in a networking event. So most of the people that I'm working with right now, because of course I'm not a millennial, so I don't have that kind of friends until now. So I needed to contact, to prospect those people or have this prospecting and invite to dig in into what is their why. So that's why one of the skill later I told them you have to be good at is you have to be very good at asking questions, at digging into the people's mind and ask questions that I've heard people respond, oh wow, nobody has asked me that question before. So when you learn how to ask questions to dig into the things that the people really desire, they don't even have the guts to tell even to themselves because there are dreams that maybe they are getting not realized. Nobody wants to talk about those frustrations. But when you do it with respect and with really interest, that and you make those questions, they start listening to their answers, and you start listening to their answers, and then you discover that idea or that pain or that dream, and then you relate. That's where you're selling. You're selling the idea and the vision only until you find something in this conversation, in this interview, with this kind of questions that that person is looking for or desiring. That's when you jump in and say, I might have something for you, not beforehand. And that's one of the key skills we are communicating to these people. Don't jump into, I have something interested that maybe you'll be interested. No, until you know that there's something they are looking for, there are something that they want to get rid of, and then you connect what you have, and you still say, it might not be for you. But with that, you build trust. So even though it's not a warm market, and that's what I did even with Matteo 2 years ago. Well, I just invited this year, but when I met him, it's just relationship. So your warm market, you build your warm market with relationships, with building relationships. And you build relationships by caring people. And you care people by asking questions nobody dares to ask those people, but they are longing to talk about it because it's the inner voice that they want to hear or they don't want to hear until they have a solution to respond to that inner voice. And guess what? We have that solution. So I dare to ask people, what is that inner voice talking to you? And don't be afraid, tell me, because I might have a solution to respond to that call. And that's the way you create that trust. And that's the coin that we're using right now.
Awesome. Now, you said something early and it came up a couple of times. Where did you meet Mateo?
In a network, was a network convention, in a network event of Latinos.
Okay, so it was like a social group that mix and get together,
Yeah, it
talk,
was. He
communicate.
was a speaker. He was a speaker. It was an intention in that meeting, and I was invited to speak as a coach, as a coach in leadership. This book, I haven't written that book before, but in that time, I mean, but I was invited to be a speaker. So Mateo and me were speakers there. So we start speaking with each other first, and we became friends in seconds because we were aligned. So it's really easy to make friends when you are alive. You have a
Oh
few
God, yeah,
questions and you
that
understand that. Yeah,
we've talked about that many times that when you land on something of common ground, then the conversation really starts to gel and then it can get exciting, and then you can get into those deeper conversations and ask those serious questions, um, especially if you know how to ask the questions, which you alluded to.
right.
Okay, guys, I mean, this is the master class of somebody that knows what to do and has embarked on developing what we've been talking about for on our Business 101 classes. So if it's okay with you, Robert, do any of you maybe you'd answer some questions from the group that's on the call to get a little bit more personal? Does anybody have a question they would like to ask? There you go, Jeannie. Go ahead.
Yes, one of the things that I am wanting to develop more of is that you said dare to ask them questions that they don't even think of. How did you word that? That just made so much sense to me.
Uh,
Like
yes.
digging
Well,
deep in that.
yeah. Instead of having that colloquial conversations about the weather,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't want to
I'm
do that. No.
I'm very direct. So even you can start light saying what inspired you today to be awake?
Okay.
What's something new that you're working with? How do you take care of yourself physically?
Mhm.
Sometimes when I meet with people that have a lot of jobs or a lot of entrepreneurship and they have a lot of in their place and they're stressed, I say, how do you manage your stress? So you're successful, yeah, that I can see. But are you, I didn't say it
Um,
that way, but are you successful physically? Are you have that balance? Or how do you take care of? And that's one of the persons that told me, oh, nobody has never asked me that or concerned about that. So
right.
she knew my concern. And I was really concerned. Okay, you're very successful. You make a lot of money. You have a lot of in your plate. So how the hell you take care of yourself? And she stopped and said, wow, I I need to think about it. Yes. So the success that you see outside from people, it's not necessarily equivalent at being successful inside. And when you discover that and they can talk about that, they say, oh, there's something I need to change. There's something that I need to transform. And
Mhm.
then is when you say, well, maybe I have something that can help transform that part that is not equivalent of your outside success.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have a question for Robert? Well, I have a question, Robert. Where were you educated and how did you develop the skills that obviously are prominent in your building activity? Could the way you talk, the way you speak, the ideas that you come for, where did that come from?
Well, as everybody knows, maybe I'm Mexican. I was born in Mexico, and my career was actuarial sciences. So I'm a numbers guy like you, Dave. So I love numbers, statistics, probabilities, finances, all those things. That's my education. That was my education. Even my parents were scientists. Well, engineer, a chemist. So I live with this science, surrounded by science. But since I was very young, like in my teens, I was always interested in behavior. Why people do what they do? Why they say something and do different thing? So I don't know. That was something that interested me since I was, I don't know, in my 14s or 15s. So I started to study by myself those behaviors. I even ended studying astrology just to understand maybe that's going to be there I will find the answer of why people are the way they are. and why they don't take care of themselves when there are ways to do it. So that's why when you combine those areas of scientists and human behavior, that marriage became research. So for 30 years, I work in corporations, mostly in market research, connecting the behavior of people, of the consumer, of the purchaser, into what is the likability to buy a product, to react to a certain image, to react as a certain message. What is the message that is going to make the people's behavior react and buy this product or get this message? So I became very good at connecting the dots by asking questions because I ask questions in a research. You have to ask questions in a poll. So that's I developed that skill plus the skill of helping people make decisions in companies that they're about millions of dollars decisions. So I needed to connect the dots in order to say, yeah, go, it's green, or no, don't do that. And sometimes I didn't get it right because people say what they think they want to do, and sometimes they don't do. So I needed to start learning to even read between lines, which is another skill that I can use when I talk to people and I hear what they say, but I can interpret what they really saying. So I think that's the skill that I have, that answering questions or but asking question and then that in a way like translating the answers. So that was my education. I work in Mexico in several companies and here in Canada in some others until they say, well, you know what? I can do this everywhere rather than be working with the same bunch of people year after year, helping make $1 million decisions. I decided to start my own coaching practice, helping any person in any stage of life, in any part of the world, in any industry for any objective or goal they have. And that's why I decided to start my coaching practice. So that's what I've been doing in the last 7 years. And I'm focusing particularly in leadership. So help people lead themselves first and then lead others, because I think that's the only way we can change this world, taking that leadership seriously in your life first and then helping
Absolutely
others.
correct. Absolutely. Especially in this business, it's the development of leadership
Oh, definitely.
is so important. Well, Robert, I really want to thank you very much for taking your time and coming on our business call.
Okay.
I think the information that you provided is invaluable, and this is going to be listened to and passed on to many people who are going to take on some advice from you and carry on their businesses with some of the ideas that you put forth. So again, thank you very much, and here's to your success moving forward and building your organization. And hopefully, the next gold or platinum that you create will bring you back on and find out what you did to do that.
Okay, well, it's going to be a repetition because I think
Yes,
we have the formula. You have the formula. The
yes.
the only new thing I was going to say, guess what? I just keep doing it more days. The only difference between gold or platinum and this level for my people is just the number of days they repeat the right things to do and focus on that vision. So there's not any difference, but just keep doing it consistently.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Robert Acosta, and
Thank you.
congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
I will edit and record this video, or I mean, post this video over the weekend, and then we'll see you all next week, Thursday, Business 101 at same time, same station. So bye for now.